Everybody, welcome to today's live. David with Plant Bar. Bear with me for a second as I don't have the. Oh man, hold on. We're going to turn this around. Bear with me here. Here we go. Holy smokes. Okay, so we're going portrait mode today, and I'm going blind on this. I'm not able to see the comments. I'm hoping somebody will jump on. I might turn around for a second or get up out of my chair and go look real quick here and there. Keep everybody guessing. David with Plant Bar, and today we're going to be doing some more chores, but these are chores that you should be doing before winter. Some of these should have already been done depending on where you live in the world. So let me get started here. Oh shucks. So what we're going to go over is I came up with a list of 10 things that you should do before fall or during fall, before winter, for your indoor plants at your home. So let's get started. So before I do that, I'm gonna sneak around here real quick. All right, if you can see my feet, sorry, I'm not able to adjust this thing. I tried to do it a different way and then it didn't work. The wonderful ways of the live. So we are live, and I'm just using a regular old phone camera, so I don't have a way to moderate or anything like that. So I'll catch you on the flip side, and like I said, I'm gonna get up and look around. I'll get up and go look and see. So Renee, what's up? Hello, thanks for tuning in. So before fall, depending on where you're at. So if you're in a colder climate and it gets down to like 40 degrees early, then if you had your plants out, your indoor plants out on a patio or a deck or whatever you had them outside, you should have already went through the process of bringing those inside. If you haven't done that and it's starting to get cold, we definitely would do that before it gets too cold and your plants start suffering, getting a little bit of frostbite, leaves and things like that. So what I want to go over is these are 10 things to do for the fall and winter. As obviously it's getting cooler in a lot of places, and the climate is changing. Some far different than the summer. So there's going to be some differences inside your homes. We've got our plants back inside, all of them, more than likely, unless you live in a climate that doesn't get that cold. But even then, you're going to have certain plants that can tolerate cold weather, and then other tropical type plants that they don't do well when it's below 50, especially if it's not below 40. So this video is for you to help create a checklist. You could probably check these all off. Yeah, I did all these things already. So first thing is we want to know where our plants are inside. So depending on what area of the country you live in, so obviously if you're watching from Hawaii, this isn't you unless you live at the top of Mauna Kea, and then it snowed there actually the other day in Hawaii, but nobody lives up there. So more than likely unless you live in a place like Hawaii, you're going to start running your heater eventually. If nothing else, you're starting to close off your house a little more often. Maybe the climate's really cool, you're letting some decent air in during the day, but then it's getting cooler at night, so you're closing it up. And so you want to be aware of where you have your plants in, where your plants are, especially if you have heaters or radiant heaters, maybe a smaller space or back east. Place over there, if you in the summer maybe you had plants up against heaters or near those that radiate heat, they're definitely not going to like you when you turn that on, and now they're just right up against the radiator getting burnt up. So you're going to want to move plants around in your home to get them away from radiant heaters, or maybe you just got like a space heater that you use in a room just occasionally when it gets cold. So if you're going to do that, then just know, like, okay, if you've got a lot of plants, okay, what plants are in here that are near this space heater that aren't going to like it? And if you have any like that, then you're going to want to move them away from radiant heat. So that's number one. Be aware of your plants, where they're at inside, and move them away from heaters. Number two, I want to talk about, these are some plant chores. Last week we did some plant chores, and I forgot one. So this is what I'm dealing with right now from me neglecting this guy. I'll show you what we did in case you weren't watching. Hold on a second. So we staked up some plants because I had stakes, but stake, moss pole, some way to let your climbers climb. So number two is let your climbers climb. So as you can see here, you can see these air roots. These air roots are intended for this philodendron Perioso verde, to climb up trees usually, or large shrubs, palm trees. But without anything to climb, it just gets floppy, not super excited. This guy needs to be potted up as well. More than likely, that's why we have some yellowing leaves on this plant in particular, because it's going to be very root bound in there. So if you've got aeroid type plants, oh, there goes one. I'll just clean it up. Aeroid type plants, and they've got these nice air roots growing on them, and you don't want them to be floppy. Sometimes, you can have them grow along the floor or something. If that's what you want, then that's fine. They're just going to be that way, and like they're not going to be straight. If you want them to be straight and get larger leaves and be more of a statement piece, then definitely get them on a moss pole or a soft wood pole when they're smaller, and then train them to a moss pole. The moss pole, just be sure that it actually has sphagnum moss inside it. So a soft growing medium, they make some mats and some other fake stuff, and these air roots will not attach to hardwood or fake moss. So the mats and these other things, some people will make a pole over some PVC, but it's just like this moss mat. It's not real, and it won't attach. They want something soft and alive. So I'm going to pot this one up while we're here talking. The reason I had this, more than likely, is because of my neglect in potting, sizing up the pot. I had this growing in a 4-inch pot. So it's pushing out some new growth, and there's just not enough oomph in this plant right now in this tiny pot to keep going. And it was over in a corner. That didn't help. I thought I caught them all last week, and I didn't. So you're going to gently squeeze here when you're potting these. Try not to tug on this, where the stem comes out of the soil. You can do a gentle tug, but try not to. If you can, just do a squeeze and let it fall out into your hand. All right, so I'll inspect the roots, which they're pretty healthy. This is actually one of the larger air roots right here. And you can see what happens when you get it down into the soil, it starts taking off. So if you have a whole bunch of air roots that are long, can't show you on this one, but one of the options you can do is just tuck them into the pot and then it'll grow. And you don't have to cut them off or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is open up all these roots and get them all to be nice and spread out going down. So gently just putting my fingers inside there and pulling, there's little pockets of soil, so I'm trying to loosen up the soil. This soil that we had these planted in originally is decent. It's our beginning potting mix, like our base potting mix. So it's okay. I'm going to remove the roots that I don't want to replant with, and then I'll mix some new soil. And we're going to pot this guy up. All right, so once you get it, something like that. So the roots are hanging down. That's decent to get it ready to repot. And this is for philodendrons or aeroid type plants. So we got air roots where they pull in the moisture from here. We also have roots in the soil that pull in the moisture. So this plant is working all over to bring in the nutrients it needs. Versus a different tropical, if they don't have these, then depending on how compacted the roots are down below, I may or may not loosen them back up if we're upsizing. Depends on how this looks on those plants. Okay, so I need, I'm gonna go from 4 inches to, we're gonna go to a 1 gallon size pot like this guy. And I'm not as prepared as I'd like to be today. So let me find the pot. I'm gonna check on the camera while I'm here. So I'm back behind here so I can read the comments. I apologize. You have a ghost. It's close to Halloween over here. Bruno from Brazil. All right, is that south of the equator? I think so. So we're gonna have opposite schedules on the winter. And happy birthday, David. Happy birthday. And then Danielle says she's using, she got a heated garage. Just started using moss stakes. Yeah, don't use the fake ones. It needs to be like good. You'll know because in a couple, 3 weeks, a month, if the air roots don't go into the moss pole, then it's probably not real. And we're going to get to some more, while I'm waiting, while I'm coming back, we're going to get to some more heat tips. I just covered the radiant heater one to start. For time's sake, we're going to go with a 6-inch pot because I don't know where my 1 gallons are. This will be okay for now. I'm going to go with a 6-inch pot. All right, so we got 6-inch pot. There's not a lot of root ball in here, so that's okay. What you want to have happen is you don't want to get too small of a pot to where the root ball that is there is now smushed into the pot. So this is okay. This will fit loosely in there, and then we'll be able to put the soil around them. Okay, so we need soil mix. I recommend an organic potting mix to start with. Our base comes with cocoa coir, chunky perlite, an extra amount of chunky perlite. Keep it nice and aerated for these plants. This is for tropicals, and then aeroids, we're going to further mix it. Cocoa coir, perlite. It's got peat moss and compost there. And then for aeroids, want to further mix with some cocoa chunks, and we're going to give it some worm castings. So the worm castings, this is, give it one little bit of that. Worm castings, that's some good worm poo. Let's make the soil active, and bear with me. I wanted to be sure that I was consistent, try to get here as quick as I could, be on time. It's usually Crystal and I, but we have some visitors, so Crystal is playing tour guide and doing all the fun stuff, and I'm doing the more fun stuff over here. Okay, so base organic potting soil mix, worm castings, aka worm poop. Make it nice, living. Our soil also, that our base soil we like to use, it has a mycorrhizae already in it, so it's a living soil. And then when we're doing aeroids, want to almost start with like 50%. So 50% this mix, 50% chunk. Aeroids they like the nutrients, but they also like to have room within their soil, so you don't want it to be too dense. So this makes it nice and loose. The cocoa chunks hold moisture, but then we're not holding too much down there, causing root rot. So one of the killers on the aeroid plants, the philodendrons, especially, is root rot. They get root rot from having either not enough holes in the bottom of your pot, especially if it's a decorative one, to the soil being too thick. You're just using like a regular thick potting soil. So if your potting soil doesn't have a lot of color and differentiation in it, not good for these guys. You can try it, but if it starts going sideways a little bit, it's more than likely the soil. I could play in the soil all day. I'm sorry. Thanks for watching me dig in the dirt. It's kind of fun. It's relaxing, and it releases some good vibes here. Okay, so I'm going to pot this up in a 6-inch pot. What you want to do is don't just hold this in there. We're gonna put this, because I'm gonna put it on a pole. I'm gonna put this back because the pole's gonna be back here. So I'm gonna put this back here towards the back of the pot, and then I want to hold the plant up and get some soil in there around the base of it, and then do a little shake, 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 shake your booty. That's what you want to do. So that way the roots are, there's a lot of space in there, and we got soil around all the roots. So when we go to water, it'll make a happier plant. All right, so at this point, once I get a good base around there, I'm going to pinch around the sides. Make sure we got the soil compacted. Doesn't have to be like cement, but it needs to be pretty decent. Shake around the sides, and then for this plant, we want to leave, every pot has a little rim, so we want to leave space between the top of your root ball, which is that, and the top of the rim of the pot, so that when you water, it doesn't overflow. So if you've got plants and you water and you got to only put a little bit because otherwise it goes over the top, probably time to repot it so that you can get it to not do that anymore. So sometimes the rule of thumb be like one finger width, depends on how fat your fingers are, 1 or 2. That's how much you should leave space for between the rim of the pot and the top of the root ball. So if you're just joining in, I'm David with Plant Bar, and today we're going over, and I'm going to try to get through all of them, 10 tips to get your indoor plants ready for winter in the fall. So number one was making sure you know where the heaters, if you've got radiant heaters in your house, don't put a plant right up against it because you're going to turn it on and you're going to burn the leaves. And then number two is what we're working on right now, and that's let your climbers climb. So we got this guy here, and I've repotted him up into a larger pot, and then I'm going to put a stake on him. So I'm just using this is a soft wood 1x2 that I bought at the department store. And I guess the other thing I should have done, and I made a mistake here, is I should have put this in prior to filling this up. So no movie magic today. This is just going to be live, like, hey, I screwed up, and I'm going to do this after the fact. Get that in there, tuck it around. Tuck it around here. So your moss pole, or if you've got soft wood laying around and you don't want to buy a moss pole, that's okay too. Just know the wood this is more like, so we do this on smaller plants. On a larger plant, we would have a larger moss pole, not necessarily like a bigger piece of wood. So you can see how off this plant is. Like, we're running at almost 90 degrees. This thing is just growing sideways. So I'm going to spin it like that and get this guy to try to get it started upright like this. So what I did was I just turned it a little bit and then pulled it, and then I'll just keep doing that. I'm going to tie up here first. So I'll put this back down and I'll do that over again. Let me cut some. So this is just green plant tie. You can buy it at any hardware store, plant type nursery, Amazon probably too. Okay, so I'm gonna spin this, get this like this, so I can pull this here, wrap this around here. So now I'm gonna allow this guy to eventually grow on this this wood. And what this does is this allows your aroid to get, right, it's going to attach. That's what these air roots are for. It's going to attach to the wood, and it's going to, like catapult. It helps it grow much more quick on a moss pole or a soft wood stake. So do one. I always start at the top and then work my way down so that you can get it spun around, and then backwards here. Once I'm done with this, I'm gonna sneak around and see. I appreciate you guys' comments. Thank you for being interactive. It's fun. Sitting here, it's gonna be a Tuesday night, depending possibly on wherever you're at. All right. Maybe you're not gonna be able to. So I'm not going to be able to do this last one because of how crooked this guy is. Let's see if I can. Maybe. Okay, I'm going to, because I want this to allow the air roots to grow, to attach to the wood. Sorry. I threw some dirt right up my nose. Okay, so I'm gonna slowly pinch. Try not. You obviously don't want to break the stem, but these guys can move here. And the green tape's super cheap, so I don't mind using a lot of it. I'll cut off the ends, and that way it's easier to tie and manage. Alright, so next steps would just be to cut the backside because that doesn't look so pretty. Water till the water comes out the bottom, and put your philodendron in a bright indirect lighting situation, and water. For this guy, you're gonna water when the top 2 inches are dry, and this loose mix will allow for you to water more often and less opportunity for the roots to rot out. So that's number 2. Let me. So in case you're just coming in, hello Juan from Mexico. Yo hablo español, but not very good. Thanks for watching. And Danielle, thanks for coming in. Loving plants can be a good thing. There's nothing bad about it. Thanks for coming in. So we usually have 2 of us. One's moderating, and it's me and my wife Crystal. But if you didn't hear already, we have some family. Got a cousin visiting, and so she's out. We try to be consistent. We're always live on Tuesdays. It's 4 p.m. Houston Standard Time, and I guess that's 7 Pacific. But she's playing the tour guide right now. So I'm running alone, and I don't want to miss anything, so I'm getting up to go look at the camera. Maybe I shouldn't, but I don't have the cool setup today. So number 3, we want to pay attention. This is in the fall, winter, when you're bringing your plants in, or if they're already inside. You want to pay attention to how things are changing inside. So as we get closer to winter solstice, the nights are going to get longer. The days are going to get shorter, which means there's going to be less light where your plants currently are inside your home. So what you want to do is, depending on the situation you got inside, if it's near a window, a west-facing window, then maybe you can leave it in the same place. If it's getting glaring sun, you don't want to put it too close. But if you have your plants in a north or east-facing window that gets enough sun in the summer, but maybe not in the winter. So what you can do is try to get them closer to the window if that's possible, and it's not too close to create like too bright a light for the type of plant it is. I guess what I'm saying is you got to move your plants around. I would recommend doing that. We've got different seasons, and we got to get them the right light that they need. So moving your plants to get the bright indirect light. So those are different rooms with different situations, but it also depends on the season. So if you're north of the equator, that's right now, we're in winter, and so you need to get the plants closer. If you're on the opposite side and you're watching, and you're on the southern hemisphere, then you're in summer, so it's deep sun. So you'll want to play this back at another time. But be aware of the light differences. Move your plants, and then if the situation doesn't allow and you can't move your plants, then I'd recommend getting some grow lights. There's some inexpensive clip-on grow lights that you can get, like on Amazon, or some hardware stores carry some. Or if you really want to go high tech, there's a brand called Soltech that we recommend, and it's a good quality light that will help add light to maybe a darker room, especially in the winter, so that your plants can get enough light. So lighting is very, very important, obviously, and can't just leave the plants outside all the time if you live in a colder climate, so you got to bring them in. Plus, they look good when you can create an indoor jungle. But part of that in the wintertime is going to be making sure they get enough light. So that's number 3. Pay attention to the light differences in your home. Move your plants, or if you're able to, get some plant lights to help with that. Okay, the number 4 that I have on the list for preparation for, what do we got here? Okay, we've got a little bit of time. I'm going to try to stay within the hour here. We want to, so if you have lanky plants like this one was, and it's like worse than this, super top heavy. And I'll grab one and I'll do the top cutting. We want to chop and crop plants that are all floppy, overgrown. Maybe they're too big for the pot that you have it in, so you got all these bamboo stakes in there. And one of the things you can do is chop them up and propagate them. So let me grab, I got a big one that I gotta do anyways. It's a mother plant that got a little neglect. See how I just plopped there? way too big for the pot that it's in. But let me see if I can remove some stuff here. So this is a red Congo that I got as a gift, actually. Crystal got this for me when we first moved. And it's been growing ever since, and it had a really, really good time. And then I tried to make it rad and let it grow, but then we moved into a new place and it got a little too much sun, so this is what sunburn looks like on a red Congo. So now it's going to be time. So if you have a smaller plant, right, you can see it's obviously way too big for this pot. It's barely hanging on, it's resting down here. So we're going to chop this up. So, clean this out so we can see what I'm talking about here. Good stuff. Gonna have to clean this up. All right, so let me see if I can. What we want to look for, trying to spin this around so you guys can see what I'm looking for here. So what we want to look for, right, is we got a space here where we've got 2 or 3 leaves already started, because this is the new leaf here, and this is the newest one. Can't really see. I don't know if you can see down in here. That's the newest leaf. So we want to chop where we get the 3rd or 4th leaf, which is going to be right here for this big guy. And that's going to be our top cutting. And that top cuttings are the easiest ones to root. Let me grab my cutters, and we'll chop that up, and then we'll chop the rest of this up. But I'm only going to plant one for time's sake. Alright, where? So I'm gonna run with what I got. I got some cutters. All the rest of the stuff is in another case. And for time's sake, I'm just gonna use what I got, but I'm going to sterilize this cutter here. So as long as you have a sharp knife, that's really all that matters. Sterilizing it with alcohol, water mix, and then again, we want to do, so 1, I don't know if you can see very good, 1, 2, 3. Top cutting, this is a huge one. You're usually not going to run into something like this in your house. So for time's sake, I'm only going to do 1. But we have nodes where these leaflets come out, and then in between those, that's an internode, and that's where you would cut in between. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm trying to let you get it. So internode would be in between. So you would cut here, and then allow this to root. I'll do one more cutting. I won't pop this one off. This one's actually really big. Cut down here. This one actually has a I'll get the rest of these later. Alright, top cutting on a Congo, the soil mix can stay the same. And then obviously this is a decent sized plant, so we are going to need a good sized pot. So I'm going to go 2 gallon. Two-gallon pot. And so we're going to need to fill up the bottom with some soil. So the way I want to set this in there is going to be more like, because we want to pull all these air roots in, want it to be here, so need to fill up the pot to about here before I even start putting this in there. Let me get some more soil. And I'll mix in the pot. So I'll get there. Cocoa chunks. Since I mixed it in the pot, I'll mix it around here. So that's at the level I need it to be. I'm going to take my cutting, rest it in there. I'm going to pull these air roots down so they're in the soil. And then from here, continue to fill. Get some more chunks. Alright. So the soil mix stays the same. Want it to have nutrients and also have the cocoa chunks, some other medium that allows for air to be between the roots and not allow the roots to rot out down below. One thing to note with the philodendron type plants, you don't need to let them callus over or anything like that. You can just get them straight from the cutting. Make sure that you clean your tool and with alcohol, and then get it straight in the right soil medium. And then basically this is going to grow all new leaves. We'll keep it growing in here, get a good size Congo, and then eventually pull off the other leaves that David neglected. Oh, did I do that? No, I must have done it. All right. So that was number 4. Getting ready for winter. Making sure that you chop and prop these overgrown lanky plants that you might have. and that's how to do it. If you're just following us, following me now, we're showing tips for getting ready for winter with your indoor plants. So we're on to number 5, and for number 5 is just knowing that with the shorter days, some plants are going to slow down. They're going to slow down in growing, but because our houses are warm, we keep heaters on, we keep the environment warm, that allows for the plants to continue to grow. So you should, depending on the plant, but if it's a plant that will still grow in the winter, say it's a jade plant or some sort of monstera, you got a monstera type plant like this, they're going to continue to grow in the winter. So you should include a diluted fertilizer within your watering every month to 2 months through the winter to allow them to keep feeding. That is one way to help keep the nutrients up within the plants. Obviously these are in pots, so they're not getting nutrients from anywhere else other than what we give it. Number 6 is to clean the large leaves on our plants. And so you can do that in a couple different ways, but as we get into the shorter days, right, we got less light coming in our houses, which means that we have less opportunity for the plant to pull in the light and do photosynthesis and grow larger. So we want to make sure that the leaf surfaces are free from soil, dirt, stuff that builds up, especially inside the home over time. And the way you can do that is one of 2 ways. You can use, it could just be plain water with a microfiber towel. You could have a cool microfiber glove kit. You could even include maybe a dash or 2 of Castile soap or some sort of dish soap that's natural to help shine the leaves, clean up the stuff. We like to use leaf and tonic. This is a neem oil derived spray. It's a plant wellness spray, and it also has some natural fertilizer and some other ingredients. Plus, it smells good, so it doesn't smell like neem. So what you do is just spray the leaves till it drips off. So if you have your plants on, you need to protect the surfaces that your plants are on. If you have to, up and down, get all the plants covered, and get this guy over here. So you want to clean your leaves, and then this should be an ongoing thing within your plant maintenance. You should try to once a month or so at the very least, and especially in the winter, clean your leaves to give your plants all the sun. They're going to get all the sun all over the leaves, because now we're getting all the dirt and stuff off of it. I don't know if you can really see, like this is pretty dirty. The little specks of brown dirt in there, and we want to clean that all up. So if you have the gloves, you can do both sides, but just be careful depending on the plant to tear the leaves. You don't want to push too hard. So if you've got the gloves or your hands, just one on each side, the backhand supports the top, and then you're just gonna wipe it off on your monsteras. Try to get in the nooks and crannies, sort of stuff, especially the spider mites, or if it's an alocasia, this is spider mite heaven down in here. They like to be right there. And then you're just gonna go around, nice, soothing thing, and clean these up. Fiddle leaf figs, this leaf and tonic or a leaf wellness spray, really good idea to use. It'll make the leaves get large, especially the leaf and tonic spray. So I'm just gonna go around, clean every single one of these leaves. At least there's only like 4 or so of them. And then you should do this about once a month, ideally. I'm gonna stand up for this guy. So just See how I'm just putting my hand on the back sides of these? Just to support it so I don't tear the leaves. There we go. Back side. Spa day for this split leaf monstera. It's gonna be super excited. This is as close as I get to spa day. Sorry if you can't see me. I'll move on to the next thing here. We usually have a cool camera overhead and whatnot. So this is number 6. Clean all the leaves on your plants, get all the dust off of them, and then for the winter you wanna try to continue that for winter about once a month or so. All right. Oh, fun. Okay. Number 8. Number 8 is to propagate succulent leaves to get some baby plants over winter. So if you start now, I'll show you how to do it. You start now and you follow, if you have the right amount of light and you follow a good misting schedule, you should have baby little succulents come springtime to be able to plant. So I do have a tray here with some that I can show you that I'd already done previously. This was, this here is the old leaf that I propagated off of another plant, and now I've got little baby propagations that are already rooted. You can see the little root dangling there. This is just a tray of perlite that I've got them in here. Got some little sedums. You can see the little fibrous roots. So what you do is on your echeverias type plants, or I guess if you've got sedum, it's just one leaflet. Now make sure it's a healthy leaf. So what I mean by that is this one here we are not trying to propagate. This is not going to propagate. But a healthy leaf on your echeveria or any other plants, so you just lightly pull on it. That come top down. It comes off, so I'll pull that aside. Maybe I want to do a different colored one here. Again, like this one's a little soft, so I don't want to propagate that one. That one's not going to work. But this one's got some vigor to it, so I'll propagate that one. Say I want this crassula. Want to make a baby crassula plant. Just pull it off like that. Any other ones? I'll just do another one of these. So you can see here, these are all the roots that I've had. I had these, this is here. This amount of roots has been grown in, and these are grown outside in a tropical sort of place, but it's 2 months worth. This is what I've got. So you can do the same thing, giving these guys similar environment inside your home. So I'll just take that one off. We'll do those for now. So what you want to do is you'll have, all right, I'll just say it's this one. Have yourself a little pot, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this deep, but this is what we're going to use. And then you can do all perlite if you live in a more tropical, like humid place. If you don't, then you're going to want to mix, say like 70-30, so 70% perlite, 70% potting mix. So I'll do all that, and then I'll use what I got here. So I use this pen to mix it around. Mix it all up. But it should be a very chunky mix. Like I said, it doesn't have to be this deep. This is like way too deep. I just grabbed this on the floor. So it only needs to be 3 inches deep or so. And I'll show you what the mix looks like. Got a couple peat chunks here. But I'll show you the mix here. It's pretty white, lots of perlite, mostly perlite. And all you're going to do is, we've got these guys. Place them flat. You can kind of tuck the tail end underneath the perlite. It's not soil, so it's not going to, there's not a lot of soil in there. It's not going to, what do you call it? Melt. No, that's a wrong word. The other thing that I will say though, prior to doing this, you pluck them off, leave them in a nice shady, dry space for 1 to 3 days. You want it to callus over. Create a nice scab, then place them into the soil. So I will let these scab over. But then all you're going to do is just, you can either lay them flat if you live in a more tropical climate where there's more humidity in your area, or barely tuck the stem underneath the perlite. And then what you're gonna do, I don't have, so the first watering can be a thorough water, just water it nice, and then after that you're just going to lightly mist. If you live in a real dry spot, you can put a saran wrap over the top, poke some holes in it, and then that way it'll stay a little more humid. And then usually after about 3 weeks or so, maybe 1 month, you'll start, when you pull them out, you'll have little baby roots growing on it, kind of like that. Leave those in there. I guess for lighting, forgot to say that. Bright indirect light, or it can be in like a windowsill if you have an area that you can put them in, or it could be under a grow light. And then by spring next year, you'll have little babies that you can then plant. All right, on to the next thing, and I'm gonna finish up. So I'm just gonna go over 2 more things, and then I'm gonna finish up. Let me double check the comments real quick. Now I've got a jungle of plants to go through. Hello, Carmans and Renee. Yeah, thanks. Total difference, right? You can make things look so different just by a little chopping and propping, maybe cutting them, and those are learned things. And some people kind of are afraid to do it, but that's what I'm here. I'm here to show you how to do it, so then you can go and try it yourself. So the last 2 things, and if you're just tuning in or you've been watching, thank you for watching and hanging out with me while we're talking plants. Last 2 things, we want to be aware. This is for especially in the colder climate areas, we want to be aware of where our plants are. If you're going to be turning on the heaters, this isn't the radiant heat, but if you've got forced heat and you got vents, you're now where the AC used to be coming through. Now we've got hot, dry air that's coming through. So you want to be aware of that. So if you've got plants way up on a shelf, and maybe they were okay during the summer, for what, maybe it just didn't get blasted so much, but now we're going into winter, and this is hot, dry air, and they start getting blasted, and they don't like it so much. So what you can do is just be aware of where the vents are. Try to put plants that can tolerate those conditions, if that's what you can do. Maybe it's a ZZ plant or some sort of succulent type plant that thrives in an arid, dry, hot place and deals with neglect. Then maybe it can be okay there. But if it's, say, I don't know, a peace lily or some other soft leaf plant, they're not going to like it. So you need to move it. So be aware of where your plants are in your house now that we're transitioning into winter and the heater is going to be coming on, and just move the plants around for the time being. You get to redecorate a little bit and put your plants where they're happy. And the last thing I want to talk about for today is you want to transition your watering schedule. So we usually preach, I know Crystal preaches the moisture meter, either finger, bamboo stick, chopstick, or moisture meter, using something to see how wet your plant is down at the bottom. The reason why is, so now we're going into winter, shorter days, longer nights, going to take longer for the soil to dry out in your plants. So in the summer, maybe you did water once a week, it just happened to be that way. But in the winter, that could change. So you should be checking on your plants once a week. That's a good habit to have. But maybe we're not watering once a week anymore. I have plants inside my home that I don't water for 1 month, maybe 6 weeks in between. Or if it's a cactus or a elliptus or something, it's like never. And that's okay. So we want to check, we want to know what our plant is. If you don't know how often to water your plant, perfect opportunity to reach out to us, and we're happy to tell you like when to water. So I have a Stanleyani here that I'm going to check. So I've got my moisture meter. Another cool thing, if you have this type of moisture meter, is a 3-in-1. So it does do light. So say you want to check how bright a room is in the winter, you can switch this to the light, and then it measures in candles. So 2000 is the bright light outside, and like 500 and below is going to be more of a dark room. But then you can kind of see how bright it actually is in there. Sidetrack, sorry. I'll switch this to moist. So basically for these plants, we're gonna check the top 2 inches. We only water when the top 2 inches are dry. So basically I'm gonna stick this probe in that much into the soil, which is about there, and then read that. So dry meaning 3 or less. If it's not 3 or less, I would leave this. So this is running at a 4. So this week, if I'm checking on this plant, I would not water it. I would water it the next go around, and that will allow you to not overwater, especially aeroid type plants or tropical plants that are sensitive to root rot, much like this one, the philodendrons, alocasias, they rot out real quick. The reason we check the top 2, because as we go down, so I shove this down lower, it's more than likely going to be, wet. So we're still wet down here in the bottom. We're allowing this to dry out. So that allows this to dry out even more before we dump more water into it. So that's the last thing I want to give you for tips for winter is, more than likely you're going to be watering less. That doesn't mean we're checking on our plants less, but we're watering less often. Which makes, if you've got a lot of plants, the 2-hour ordeal a lot easier, because now we're just checking, cleaning leaves, looking for bugs. And you can go do something else and still admire all your plants. So use a moisture meter, check your plants once a week, but just expect that more than likely the plants are going to need less water coming into the winter. So those are some tips for the winter. Some places we're deep into fall and it's snowing or about to snow. I don't know about that life, but your plants should already be in. Some places, maybe this is just the last bit, the places where it still stays warm until October, November, December. Now's the time. Make sure all your plants that are sensitive are inside. You've got them in a good place, and we'll put these when we repost the video. I'll put these tips into the comments for anybody re-watching. You'll be able to grab these, and I hope you guys had fun while we were here for about this hour, and I appreciate you watching. If you haven't already and you like what you've seen, you enjoy coming, please subscribe to our channel, hit the bell so you can get a notification when we're going live. We usually go live on Tuesday evening, nights, depending on where you're at in the Americas. But Tuesday is the day that we do that here, and then we also post content informative stuff about plants. We're growing and playing with plants all the time. So thank you so much for watching. I'm David with the Plant Bar, and we'll see you next time. I'm behind the scenes, but hey, Rhonda, Renee, thank you for watching. Aloha.